We made this.
Hello everyone, this is Tony, Network Chief of We Made This. As you know, our podcast network brings together a brilliant assortment of talent who talk about all kinds of pop culture content, such as the episode you just listened to, or maybe you're just about to listen to. We're not going anywhere, but we'd love to keep the lights on for even longer if you're able to support our network on Patreon. For just £2 a month, you get your name in lights and the satisfaction of knowing you're helping us produce more great audio. And for £3 a month, you'll get your name in lights, but you'll also get access to an exclusive bi-monthly podcast from the We Made This talent pool on podcasting, pop culture, and, well, you tell us. We'll take your suggestions. For less than the price of a coffee per month, you can help keep We Made This going. Just head to patreon.com/We Made This. That's patreon.com/We Made This. And get the ball rolling. Now, back to your scheduled programming.
Hey there, peeps of the interwebs. Welcome again to another episode of Gotham University, the podcast where we discuss all things Batman related, paying tribute to the greatest detective of all time, arguably, and the greatest superhero of all time, arguably. Welcome again, and thank you if you are listening for the first time, or if you are listening for the multiple time. We appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell all your nerds all over the place to listen to Gotham U. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram on the handle Gotham U Pod. You can find us on Amazon, Apple, and any other podcast outlets out there. I sounded so much like an advertiser right there. Anywho,
sometimes you have to though. It's just like, you know, you gotta plug all the socials, you know, and chat about it.
That's the cheapest salesman out there. Yes, it is. Jason Melendez here, alongside my buddy, my pal, my compadre, the Lucius Fox to my Batman,
Ooh.
Michael Slammer. How are you,
Yes.
Mikey?
I'm doing good tonight, Jason. It is currently March 4th. We promised our listeners that we would be recording tonight in preparation for some kind of movie is coming out. Something is coming out on some streaming platform, and it's really controversial. I don't know anything about it. This is the first time.
My friend, I am super pumped about it. I am extra peppy tonight for this reason. Because they said it couldn't be released. They said it wouldn't be released. The critics said it didn't exist. Warner Brothers themselves said this didn't exist. Zack Snyder basically gave them a bat bitch slap and said, not true. I have the format. I have the product. I have the sources, the technology. I have the Snyder Cut. And we're getting it in 2 weeks from today. March 18th,
Wow.
2 a.m., HBO Max. Who's going to stay up that late? This guy is. Don't know about you, but I'm doing a massive Snyder Cut or Snyder-thon that entire night. I'm going to be pretty tired by the time we get onto our show in 2 weeks, Mike.
Yeah. We can discuss the logistics of our record session for that one. But anybody at HBO Max, if you're listening, look, we are open to sponsorship deals. We're only talking about Snyder Cut stuff, and that's only on your streaming platform. Feel free to throw us a bone here.
Absolutely, and I'm a huge fan of HBO Max. I'm not just watching it for the Snyder Cut. I subscribed when I watched Wonder Woman 1984. Good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it very much. There's other content out there that I'm sure other people would enjoy. And, we'll be more than happy to put your names out there and have them enter others' ear holes.
Oh, yes. I recently rewatched Batman 1989, the original Michael Keaton. And you know what, man? I gotta say, it holds up. It really does. As a movie, as a comic book movie, as a superhero movie, and ultimately as a Batman movie. It's just good.
the movie was a huge game changer in terms of comic book movies. I mean, before that, yeah, you had Christopher Reeve with the Superman movies, but this just was a paradigm shift. This was at a time when no one really took comic book movies seriously. This was at a time when you had the whole dynamic of Batman slowly shift from that hokey and cartoony atmosphere to this dark and edgy aura that no one thought we would see on the big screen. And when Michael Keaton presented this, when Tim Burton presented this, it just blew people's minds. And so much so that Warner Brothers wanted to scale it back, saying it was too dark. We don't want this kind of movie for our kids. And Tim Burton was like, "No, we're going to keep going. In fact, I'm going to double down on your sequel."
Yeah, no, man, just the overall vibe of that movie. It's brooding, it's dark, it's Batman, it's a detective, that film noir era that really fed into the mystery and the adventure, right? And then you bring in this brilliant villain with the Joker played by Jack Nicholson, right? And what a great cast. You've got Kim Basinger, you've got Robert Wuhl, you got Billy D. Williams, right?
Billy D. Lando.
It's a damn good movie. I would recommend to anyone in today's era of, flashy CGI and green screen to go back to 1989, watch this film with real sets, real props, real costumes, and have fun.
That was part of the thing back in the day, was that there really wasn't that whole era of CGI that we have today. You go in there and it's a set full of just models that Tim Burton took advantage of and did a great job with it. There's an Instagram page out there I know, I think it's called Burton Gotham, or Gotham Burton, and all he does is talk about the first two Batman movies, and he even gets a little bit into the Schumacher verse for Batman Forever. And all he does is just post behind the scene clips of things that you would never see anywhere else, and interviews, whether it was on Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood or just any of those late night shows that had, guests being featured. And the things that they said, the actors, what they said, gives you a whole feel like they were a family. Even though it was only one movie, it wasn't a huge franchise like the Marvel Universe created. But, you're in there 6 months, 8 months out of the year, and you're developing a bond with one another. And it didn't help that, for example, Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns, they were actually in a relationship prior to making the movie. So clearly their dynamic was almost flawless when they hit the green light.
Wow.
That's just like a few examples of what that Instagram holder is. But yeah, going back to what you said, Mike, it was a different time. It was a different feel back then. And I'm hoping that Matt Reeves, when he brings out his vision in the Batman next year, that we get the same exact feel, like an actual dark, brooding, realistic tone.
Right. Well, I think everyone is really excited for that because a lot of the teasers and screen caps that have been posted have been relatively promising. Can you tell us a little bit about what we might expect? I know it stars Robert Pattinson, famous, of course, for Twilight, but leaving that aside, Robert Pattinson is a really good actor.
Oh my God. Very underrated. A lot of people give him flack for Twilight. Can't say he's a bad actor. I mean, he delivers when he wants to deliver. I have a personal gripe, though. I have a little bone to pick with him. He's probably not listening, but
just in case.
Robert,
we love you.
Oh, absolutely. Great guy. Great guy. Last year, when the announcement was made that he was going to be Batman, magazines all over the place had to interview him. He was doing something else. I know he was doing a movie at the time prior to the whole Bat Fest, and someone asked him, how does it feel to be next in line to wear the cowl, and how does it feel to, take on this iconic role? Yes, there was Edward Cullen in Twilight, but it's a different atmosphere now. You're in a different level when you're wearing the cape and cowl as Batman. And his response, and I didn't get the full quote on it, but more or less the paraphrase, he said that he doesn't take it seriously, and if anybody out there that watches these movies do take it seriously, you don't get it. And that's what he said. That is what I remembered into my mind, thinking, oh God, like this is not going to go as well as I think a lot of people are hoping. And I'm sure the casual fan was like, oh, well, okay, that's fine. And maybe to other people, that's okay. But when you hear the hardcore fan base who have grown up to, the Keaton Batman, the Bale Batman, the Batfleck, they know that all those actors, they took it seriously. You look at a guy like Heath Ledger, who, rest in peace, great actor, literally put his life and everything he had into the Joker. Even Jack Nicholson himself said, don't take this role too seriously, or else it's going to defeat you. But at the same time, you kind of got to go into that world, into that whole realm of being serious. Affleck took it very seriously, and now you have an entire cult following him saying, believe in the Batfleck. I mean, hell, Mike, for years when they announced that Affleck was going to be Batman, all I did was put hashtag believe in the Batfleck, and I still stand by that years later. So for Pattinson to turn around and say, I don't take this seriously, it's going to me, I know he's going to be a good actor, and he's going to do good with the role, but will he be good enough now? And that's what kind of worries me going into this movie. Will he be fantastic? Sure. Will he be Batman fantastic? I need to wait and see more.
Okay. Thinking about how fans get so riled up over these kinds of things, and regardless of what the quote actually was, I was trying to find it. I haven't found it yet. But I'm thinking about how fans in general could be, whether we're talking Batman, whether we're talking Marvel, whether we're talking DC or anything. Star Trek is a great example. When casting notices come out and they, and something doesn't line up, or maybe an actor doesn't really look like the part because, for whatever reason, maybe they're too skinny when they're cast. Maybe they're too bulky when they're cast, right? Maybe they need to slim down or do like a cardio diet or something like that to match, quote unquote, what the preconceived notion of that role is going to be. And, as I've said before, and I'll say it here for anyone who's not heard me say this before, just let it go, man. Like these directors, these producers, these execs, they have their hands on the wheel, and they are going to make these decisions with or without you. And ultimately it comes down to scheduling, it comes down to contracts, and it comes down to the willingness to do the role. So, you could cast the most perfect player to be Batman, whoever you think it is. And that person can come in, sit in the chair, put on the cape, and they're like, shoot, you know what? My contract won't allow me to do this because I'm going to be filming a different superhero in 2 years, and I've already signed that contract. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But at the end of the day, just let it go, man. Like Robert Pattinson, I'm sure he's going to kill it. Why do I know this? Because his previous work proves that he can do it.
Funny you use that as an example, Michael, because you say that, right? And agreed, until it gets into the way of the movie and the production. And I'll give you the most recent and the best example, Henry Cavill. He finished his role as Superman and then did another project. He did Mission Impossible. He had to grow a mustache for that role. But then due to reshoots by the infamous Joss Whedon now, they had to bring Henry back in for more shoots.
The $1 million mustache.
That because of that $1 million mustache, they had to CGI it, and they did a horrible job with it. The infamous stash that, a lot of people are making fun of and calling it in a meme. So agreed with what you said, but at the same time, it cannot interfere with production of the film. Otherwise, you're going to get a travesty like what happened with Henry Cavill. God, and
you are not wrong.
And also to follow up on what Pattison said and what happened, a couple of months later, a little thing happened in 2020. You know, COVID-19. Pattison was apparently infected with it back in September. This was immediately on the first few days of the movie being reinstated. And they had to shut down production immediately because Pattison had COVID. Or did he? There's also now rumors reporting saying that was a cover-up because Matt Reeves and Robert Pattison, and now if anybody out there can actually confirm or deny if there's actual updated reports, let me know. But as far as from what I've read, the truth that what came out was that Pattison didn't have COVID, and what had happened was he came back to the set after a several-month hiatus, very out of shape. And I don't mean like overweight out of shape. I mean he wasn't in bat form. He was back to his leaner self. He wasn't in bat fashion, and it got to the point where when they were doing shoots, the stuntman for Pattison looked bigger and broader than the actor himself. And Matt Reeves apparently was so upset with this that he demanded that Pattison take a couple of weeks off, get back into the gym, do your routine, and don't come back until you are in movie form.
No kidding.
That is what was said back in September or October, somewhere around there. So, yeah, like there's a lot of, you gotta, stick with what you do, stick with what you know. And some fans might say, get over it. But when you do stuff like that, you have to stick to the program. You can't disappoint your fan base, especially when you have a cult following like Batman.
Right.
There is a level of expectation that you have just met. And that's not necessarily Robert Pattison's fault, really.
Yeah, there could be a lot going on there that we just don't know.
Yeah. And this goes back to Michael Keaton. No one took him seriously as Bruce Wayne / Batman.
Oh, yeah.
He was a comedian actor. Everyone thought that he was going to stink up the entire place. His best role before that movie was Beetlejuice. Great movie. Don't get me wrong.
But one of my favorites.
Yeah. But when you see that movie, and then you're also hearing like a month or two later, by the way, the same director that casted Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is now going to be Batman, you're thinking, whoa, this is a different turn here. So to see that actor then take the role seriously, gain a couple of pounds in muscle, the bar just got set. Now you have actors that actually want to take this seriously. Fast forward to a guy like Christian Bale, same thing. That guy's a nut. I mean, he went from being a 95-pounder in The Machinist going into 200 pounds as Bruce Wayne. So the guy had dedication. Now, and, Ben Affleck, we can also discuss a little later, but I want to fast forward back to Pattison to take a couple of months off and say, I'm not going to take this seriously. Go back into your original frame and then return to set looking like you haven't really done any work. Your job is to be in shape for this movie. You get paid millions to do this. You have to dedicate yourself, even if you don't like the training, which he admitted that he didn't like. He's not a gym goer. Far be it from me. It's everyone's opinions. Me personally, I don't mind going to the gym every once in a while, but you're getting paid to do this.
I've seen your Instagram. I know you're hitting the gym.
Yeah. I don't brag.
Don't be bashful. Don't be bashful.
I'm not a bragger. But to the point, I understand that people should not go crazy, holding, pitchforks and saying, you gotta give us the best or you suck. But you also have to put a certain level of respect to what you're doing, especially when it's a franchise like this.
I hear what you're saying, and I definitely agree with you. Like, there is a fine line to walk when you are bringing to life a classic hero role to the screen.
Yeah, and this is not Pattison's fault by any means, but he has to follow Ben Affleck. And Affleck is a dedicated childhood fan of Batman. So when he was told, you're wearing the cowl in my movie, Zack Snyder saying this to Affleck, you better believe he worked hard for this movie. Physically, mentally, he wanted to be Bruce Wayne, not just as that little boy in him that said, this is finally my dream coming to life, but as an actor that's going to pretty much have the entire world on him for this moment. And not for nothing, but he nailed it. A lot of people could criticize Batman v Superman, but the one scene that gave me chills when I saw it in theaters was that warehouse scene. When I saw him break through the window and just destroy every thug in there, I got a bat boner, Mikey. I'm not going to lie. I will sit there and say, oh my God. And I don't know who I was with, but I said it under my breath. This is it. This is it. This is it. Because I've read the comics, I've played the video games, and what I saw Affleck do, what I saw that Batman do, was what I wanted to see. Take nothing away from Keaton, take nothing away from Bale. That was my Batman. That was what I grew up to. And to see that come to life, the bar was set. So for Pattison to step up after that, it's like, you got to show me, man. You really got to show me that you can level up.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Ben Affleck, he did, God, just such a phenomenal job playing Batman. And the interesting thing about the role of Batman is that it's not just Batman. You're also playing Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is the playboy. He's the party goer. He's out there. He's hanging out on the yacht. He's going to all the parties and the fundraisers, black tie events, and then he's sneaking off in the middle of the night to fight crime. So that dichotomy, and I think that's where the different actors have their strong suits and where they've kind of fallen short. I think Michael Keaton played that role perfectly. He was both Batman and Bruce Wayne, and that's why he gets such high levels of praise for the role. Whereas someone like Christian Bale, he played Batman really well, but he didn't play Bruce Wayne at all. Like, Bruce Wayne was just an afterthought. He was just like a lazy, hey, I'm going to the party, and he kind of played it off. But he didn't really bring the full gravitas of Bruce Wayne to the silver screen that I felt he could have done. And someone like George Clooney, I thought great Bruce Wayne, not really a great Batman, So I'm curious to see how this new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson coming out is how's Robert going to play this role? I mean, granted, it's a younger Batman. This is not Batman in his prime, right? Like, he's supposed to be on his journey.
This is, from what I've read, is a year two. So it's not going to be, his first time wearing the cowl, but it's going to be like his second year as Batman. So yeah, he's very, very new, very inexperienced to what he's doing.
Right. And I mean, we can assume that he's still got a lot of kinks to work out as Batman. Like, he's still trying to figure out what that identity actually means and, what being a vigilante justice machine is all about, and still trying to play off the role of a playboy.
I 1,000% agree with you on everything you just said regarding to the dynamic of Bruce and Batman. You kind of nailed it for me. Yeah, like, that's exactly how I feel on every one of them. Keaton, Clooney, Bale. That's exactly how I feel. Clooney, just real quick on this one. I didn't see him more so as a man trying to be Batman, more so as a man just cosplaying as Batman. I never believed it because, when I see George Clooney, that's him on the theater. I see Ocean's 11. I see every other film that he's done, and he does a great job as being a playboy bachelor, but that's because that's him. That's what he does outside of Hollywood, really. And all he did different was just slap on a pair of bat nipples and some some ears, and say, I'm Batman. You're not, though. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just thinking, like, even though those movies, the Schumacher movies with George Clooney, they weren't by any means really good. I will say they were visually extremely fun to watch. Like, you know, the whole idea of the Batmobile going down like a nose, you know, just driving down a nose in that one scene, that was really cool. But other than that, there was really not a whole lot of great things to say about it.
It was lazy. I'll give Batman Forever this much. Val Kilmer did a decent Bruce Wayne, not a good Batman. Same as Clooney. A little bit different, a little bit more acceptable. Didn't hurt that Burton was still attached to Batman Forever as a producer role, not as a director. But visually, like you said, it was really good. It was entertaining. It was fun. But then Batman and Robin came along, and it was very lazy. The writing was lazy. It was a duplicate. If you really watch the two back to back, it was like watching the same thing, but even cheesier. Like how it was like Schumacher went and thought, or not even Schumacher. I'm not going to hate on him for this. This is more of a Warner Brothers decision. They saw Batman Forever and was like, how can we make this suck even more? And they added the Bat credit card. They added the stupid puns. They added Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but you shouldn't put him in that movie.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about the Bat credit card. Never leave the Bat cave without it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So dumb. But, yeah, no, you're right. There was something about movies in the 90s that were just, I don't know. There's a certain vibe. When I go back and watch a movie from the 90s, I know inherently that it's from the 90s. You know what I mean?
They had a great era. Like, just to step away from the Bat universe for a second. But yeah, you had, when you had an action movie, it screamed 90s. And they were all fantastic. Like, what was it? The Rock. I believe The Rock was in the 90s. Face Off.
Yes.
Like, those movies were fantastic. And they were all Broken Arrow. Great movie. Mm-hmm. You know, you just knew you were watching a 90s flick. And, you know, Batman Forever was kind of the same. Again, visually different, but, you know, you felt like you were watching a 90s movie.
Yeah. There's just something about that vibe. I mean, you've got, you know, Total Recall in 1990 with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
That is a classic. You've got Under Siege from 1992. You've got The Fifth Element, right? That's
95,
such a great sci-fi movie. Like, to this day, that movie holds it. You can go back and, like, you can identify, like, who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and you can enjoy the plot and just go along for the ride and have a good time. That's what I think about when I think about these great action movies from the 90s. And that's the vibe. That's the energy. You know, they weren't trying to be these over-the-top complex where we're going to deliver a message and we're going to tell you what to feel and how to think. And, oh, here comes the melodramatic music to come in. You know, those movies were just all about, hey, listen, this is the plot. We know it's ridiculous, and have a good time.
Yeah, it was what it was. You know, when you watched a movie back then, you knew that what you were going to see was just that. You paid for what you expected. And nowadays, like, it's almost like there's like you said, a message, whether it be political, whether it be religious. There's something behind everything in today's standards. It's like, there's a reason why I'm paying $13 to see this movie, and that's to escape what's out there right now. I don't want to have that in front of me for 2.5 hours, especially a 2.5 hour movie. I just want to relax and forget that the real world existed for a minute.
Exactly. Like, in Batman Forever, you have Batman with facing off against, Tommy Lee Jones plays Two-Face, you know, District Attorney Harvey Dent, right? And Jim Carrey as the Riddler. And, you know, it's this, they deploy this crazy, you know, laser beam that's going to suck everyone's brains out. And Batman has to go and deal with, like, all these awful tortured memories. And he's got this new girlfriend with Nicole Kidman, who, you know, not for nothing, you know, back in 90s Nicole Kidman. Oh, yes. So not for nothing, like, it had all the hallmark makings of a 90s fun, silly action flick. But man, it just did not deliver.
No. Part of that is because, you know, Burton had the right idea and Warner Brothers just wasn't feeling it. You know, he was going for a darker tone, and when Batman 89 came out, you know, there was a rave reviews. Everyone loved it. It was a different tone. Burton was like, well, I can go darker. And Warner Brothers was like, no, no, no. Parents do not want to go darker. We just want to sell these Happy Meals. And Burton's like, well, this is my movie now. So he doubled down and made it darker. To each their own. I mean, personally, I thought 89 was still the darker of the two, but there was a very gothic theme behind 92, Batman Returns.
Yes.
Again, same complaint. It was too dark for my kid to see. I won't take my kid to see this movie. So that's when Warner Brothers was like, hey, we're pulling the plug on your vision, and we're going to do it the way we want to do it, and we're going to hire a new director if we have to do it. And Burton was like, cool, you do you. And that's when Schumacher came in, and that's when the new Gotham, so to speak, came out. The new Batmobile, the new Batman. And it just never really recovered. And then when Damage Control came in and was like, hey, let's do Batman and Robin, that was kind of it, you know?
Yeah.
The vision just fell flat.
Yeah. Man. Well, I mean, Matt Reeves is directing the new Batman releasing with Robert Pattinson. Matt Reeves has a really nice filmography here. I'm scrolling through his IMDb page. He's probably the films that we would know best on this list here are War for Planet of the Apes,
Yes.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Cloverfield as well.
Yeah. I just watched that movie, was it 2 or 3 days ago? It was on AMC, I believe, and it holds. You know, it wasn't meant to be anything fantastic, but at the same time, it turned into a universe. We're still waiting on a sequel for that movie.
Yeah, I remember, I remember watching Cloverfield, and, you know, this is the movie where it's all shaky cam footage. It's almost like a found footage type film, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, the story goes that it's a bunch of friends who are stuck in New York City when there's this, you know, a crazy monster attack. And, you know, it comes up out of the ocean and it drops all these weird little monsters and it goes on this rampage kind of a situation. You know, it's a real throwback to that Godzilla-esque, you know, monster coming up out of the sea type situation. And it's a good movie. If you've not seen Cloverfield, we recommend.
Yeah. There was just something different about it. Was kind of like bringing back the era of monsters, because I don't know if you're on IMDb right now, right, Mike? You can see if there's if there was ever a Godzilla or a King Kong or any type of monster movie within that era. I don't think there was. I think Cloverfield kind of brought that back.
Yeah, it kind of did in a kind of a fun way too, because, you know, what a cool concept, you know, it's the idea of you as the audience, and, you know, you're looking at someone's footage from their camcorder as they captured all this footage of them and their friends running through New York, trying to get away from these monsters.
Yeah. I think the only complaint was that the shakiness. Like, if you were the person that just had headaches very easily, all right, not the film you probably want to go see. But in my case, I saw it 3 times in theaters, because if you catch at the very end, I guess you see the monster or something fall from the background. I don't know if you caught that. When I saw it in theaters the first time, I thought nothing of it. And then, you know, you go on the internet and they're like, did you see that monster fall at the end? I was like, no, they were in the Ferris wheel at the end. Like, no, go behind it. So I saw the movie a second time, and I'm like, holy crap, something fell from the sky. What was that? And then the third time I saw it just to appreciate it one more time. But yeah, kind of like a little bit of an Easter egg right there, just to show you that there was something building up beyond this movie. And they did. They made 2 more movies, and we're still waiting for a true sequel to follow this one.
Right. It's what was it called? Like, there's 2 films that share the name, but aren't actually sequels.
Yeah, there was a 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I forgot the Cloverfield Paradox or something. The Cloverfield
Project.
Yeah,
Cloverfield. I literally just navigated away. Hold on. Cloverfield, and then there is
Paradox. Oh no, wait, maybe it's Effect.
No, it's
Paradox.
The Cloverfield Paradox,
yeah,
and Cloverfield Lane, yeah.
And you know,
so
And you know what, though? The marketing behind Cloverfield Paradox was brilliant. I don't know if you remember it, but there was talk about this movie being made. It was going to be released on Netflix. And then Super Bowl rolls around, and, all eyes are on the Super Bowl. And then during one of the commercials, they released the first and only commercial, really, and they said, on Netflix after the Super Bowl. And everyone's like, what? Like,
what?
So, like, that day, there was a release. And not a bad movie.
Yeah,
it really wasn't that bad.
Well, here's the thing, man. I feel like Netflix, they buy up all these ideas for movies that are like sound amazing on paper, but then just don't fully execute, especially when it comes to sci-fi. I can't tell you how many times we've started and stopped sci-fi series on Netflix, and we watched through a movie. We're like, yeah, that was fine. I'm glad it was streaming, and I'm glad I didn't pay a $13 movie ticket to see that. And the Cloverfield Paradox for me was one of those types of movies, but it was a lot of fun, and sometimes that's all you want.
It was, from what I remember, it was like a universe crossover type movie where it was
correct.
They got lost in one universe and then get back into the other one, and it was a little bit all over the place. But then the very end of the movie, when they finally get back to their home, first of all, I'm spoiling, so sorry. I mean, it is a couple years old. And by the end of the movie, they finally make it home, and the people on Earth are like, what are you doing? You can't come back. You're not safe. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And then out of nowhere, the monster, a bigger version of it came up and just, we assume, ate the spaceship whole.
Right. The implication being that the universe that they crossed over into was the one with the Cloverfield monster from the first movie.
But was it, though? Because that movie...
But was it, though?
The movie in the original one was much smaller than the Paradox.
Yep. I mean, theories abound. And then you have the movie 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was a total departure from being a true monster movie, but it is a monster movie. And it's kind of like a character study where after the IMDb description, I'm going to read it here. After getting in a car accident, a woman is held in a shelter by a man who claims that the outside world is being affected by a widespread chemical attack. And look, this is legitimately a good movie. It's got 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Great reviews. It's got a great cast. John Goodman, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, John Gallagher Jr. Yeah. Definitely recommend watching this movie if you're into thrillers, if you're into what do you call it, like hostage type movies, and with a little bit of action. There's nothing untoward in the movie, even though there is some implication of it.
What year did that movie come out?
2016.
I feel like this movie was 4 years ahead of its time because it almost sounds like it's about a woman trying to get out of quarantine, and and everyone else is like, "You gotta stay inside. You're gonna get killed out there." Like, wow, I heard this recently.
Yeah, right. But man, we went way off on a tangent here. Matt Reeves, the director of the new Batman movie, I really enjoyed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. That is the first. That's the first series, the first movie in the series, right? Or is it Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
I think it's Rise.
Dawn or Rise?
Or maybe it is Dawn.
Yep. It's the second one. Rise of the Planet of the Apes came out in 2011. So Dawn is the second, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, Matt Reeves directed it. It stars Gary Oldman, Kerry Russell, Andy Serkis. Of course, reprises the role as Caesar. It's a great movie, and highly recommend. 7.6 out of 10, and wonderful action sequences. There's great plays on emotions in this movie that you don't quite expect, and I will attribute that to great directing.
Matt Reeves is a great choice to direct the newest Batman movie. I think he's going to do a great job, and especially for what they're aiming for. It's not going to be your typical gothic or realistic tones as Nolan did it. It's going to be something entirely different. It's going to be more grounded and more of a noir film. Am I saying that right? Noir,
yes.
Noir. Yeah, I got myself a beer here, so I'm going to get a little bit numb on some of the pronunciations of that. But yeah, it's going to be different. It's going to be more of an investigation or more of a detective story. It's going to go back to his roots, Batman's roots, that is. And that is to, be known as the world's greatest detective. And he's going to use his detective skills to find out who's releasing all of these riddles. And we will know that in the form of the Riddler. So, good villain choice. Good background story. Makes me think of the Arkham video games that came out over the years in Xbox and PlayStation. Yeah. So to have that come to life, I'm stoked. And for Matt Reeves to direct it, I'm not going to be overly arrogant and say it's going to be great and you're going to like it, but it's going to be a great movie. It's just a matter of
this is promising. This is a really promising, setup.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to hit a home run. It's going to deliver huge in the box office. That's not even a question. It's just a matter of whether it's going to continue that trend for week 2, week 3, week 8. I don't know how long The Dark Knight went. I think Dark Knight went almost 2 months at number 1, just dominating the box office. So if I'm going to compare this movie to anything else that was done in Batman, it would be The Dark Knight. And Nolan did a great job doing that one.
Wow. Yeah. No, for sure. How do you feel about the movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix?
I thought it was tremendous. I'm a huge fan of psychological movies. To see Joaquin Phoenix go as far as he did, I like the fact that it made me feel uncomfortable in certain scenes. And the fact that Todd Phillips, the director of Joker, did that, the fact that Joaquin Phoenix did that, makes me say, holy crap, that was a good movie. Just from the behavior of Joaquin, how his I don't want to say it was his illness, his abrupt laughter, the way he stalked that girl, his neighbor. It was just creepy. And it was also sad to see someone like this just fall apart and to find out that you might be related to someone only to find out that it was not true. It was just, it was a very sad movie, but it was also very deep. It was very impressive.
Yeah. Now, the question for you is, do you think that Matt Reeves is maybe taking a page out of that book? And, the films aren't connected in any kind of a way so far as we know right now. Of course, that could always change later on. But do you think that Matt Reeves maybe trying to put together some kind of a more comprehensive, cohesive style of film, like in that vein, with that grittiness to it, with that, disturbing element, because we are dealing with a young Batman here who, let's be real. It's a little unhinged for, a billionaire playboy to go running off and playing vigilante.
I don't know which came first in this situation. I know there was talks of a Batman solo movie coming out that was supposed to be really dark and grounded. And then this movie came out that Todd Phillips directed. How I feel is that there is a page taken from it. I feel that there was an element of imitation, but I don't think that it was I don't know, honestly. I don't like the stories that you keep hearing on the internet. And maybe I should stop doing that and hearing whether it's rumors or confirmations. But there's also ties in that says that, oh, well, they're going to connect now that, Joker was a success, that there's a sequel coming out. And I do believe a sequel is coming out, but I don't know if that was the intent. I don't know if Todd Phillips went in that direction. And I don't know if Matt Reeves wanted to take a page from that also. If he did, bravo, because he got my attention. The fonts are the same. I mean, we could break it down as, minor as what their titles look like. You look at the Batman title, you look at the Joker title, they look exactly the same.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, and you look at the dynamic between the two, very similar, very dark, very twisted, and you look at the trailer for the Batman, and it almost seemed like Bruce has a tortured past. And it's I don't know. Oh, but now that just triggered in my head a theory, but a rumor did come out for the Batman. So Bruce's parents have always been looked upon as, martyrs, so to speak. Thomas Wayne was this very respected, very loved doctor. Martha Wayne was this good mother that took care of her boy. In this movie, there's been rumors saying that that's not going to be the case. That Bruce is going to find out the hard way that maybe there's a different layer to his parents that neither of us, as a fan and as Bruce Wayne, have really seen before. So I'm kind of curious as to what Matt Reeves plans on doing with that. And if so, and he is going to go in that direction, then I would say, yes, I think he is trying to take a page from Todd Phillips' repertoire.
Yeah. I mean, that level of subversion inside what audiences expect to happen, and then building in that surprise along the way. That's the stuff that we go to movies for. Like, I don't want to go and sit down, pay $13, $14, get the $5 snack and the $6, small tiny soda, and be able to predict everything that happens. I'm not there for that. And, that's something that we can criticize the Marvel universe for doing, making everything so formulaic. So I like that I don't know what's going to happen. I like that, build some new stories. Don't just, take a page from a comic and try to adapt it to the screen. Because as we've learned, throughout the many, many years of discussing comic book movies, that doesn't always work when it comes to the stories of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman. There has to be some kind of originality to it. And I'm excited for this. This is going to be great.
One thing that I've noticed a lot of the Batman directors that I've done is they will take pages from the comic books, but they won't necessarily end it in the way of the comic books. Nolan did it with the Dark Knight trilogy. I mean, he basically killed Batman, but he didn't kill Batman. Now, granted, that was in The Dark Knight Returns, but he didn't do it in the same exact fashion. When I saw, the trailers leading up to this movie, and there's even, reports saying that, will Nolan do the impossible? Will Nolan kill Batman? And I'm going into that theater thinking, no, Batman doesn't die. He doesn't die in the theaters. And then when the bat blew up at the end, I'm like, he did it. He actually killed him. And then at the very end, you find out that it was just another stunt by Bruce Wayne.
That's it.
Slipped out at the last second. And, going even further back to Michael Keaton, none of those movies were adapted by anything. Like, everything was original by Burton's own mind himself. Take away, the origin story behind Bruce Wayne. Everything else was original. The Joker was original. Michelle Pfeiffer's version of Selina Kyle was original. The Penguin was original. So I walked into both those movies and thought, I don't know what's going to happen because this is an original content right here. And to see now Matt Reeves do that, yeah, I'm with you. I'm on board with that. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah. This is we are in. If you're a Batman fan, if you're a comic book fan, obviously, if you're listening to this, I think you are. But we're in for some good stuff here. We're in for some good stuff. If you're not a Batman fan, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're probably not going to like this podcast. But we do have many other podcasts on the We Made This network that you may possibly be interested in. Currently, with Batman, we have the Snyder Cut coming out. Everyone's pumped. The internet is going wild. And I can't tell you, every time I log into Twitter, there's another blast of 3,000 or 4,000 tweets with the hashtag SnyderCut, SnyderCut, SnyderCut. How many days do we have to go?
14 days?
14 days. So let me ask you this. How stoked are you for Ben Affleck to return to the screen as Batman?
Meh. No. I am very, very excited. And it's like I said earlier in the show, if you listen to me on Facebook back in the day, even today, in today's standards, I keep saying, believe in the Batfleck. A lot of people gave him flack. A lot of people gave him a lot of, down talk saying, the guy that did Daredevil, really? And I said, he was not bad in Daredevil. It was poor writing. The movie wasn't that great, but he did the best of what he did. You look at all of his other movies, you look at him in a villain role, in a hero role, he's a fantastic actor. I was just thinking about this earlier today when I was prepping for this. Armageddon, 98, right?
Oh, yeah.
That movie came out.
Classic.
The very end of that movie, and it is a classic, I still watched it, even though it's a Michael Bay film and everyone, talks down on him because all he does is make explosion movies, and he does. But he also puts content behind it. And when he hired Ben Affleck, that very end of the movie, when he was supposed to be the guy to sacrifice himself, Bruce Willis comes behind him, unplugs his oxygen tank, throws him back into the chamber, and hits the rise button. And Affleck's going up and he's saying, you asshole, you took away my job. And Bruce Willis turns around and says, your job is to take care of my daughter. That's your job. And Ben Affleck started weeping, and I'm like, big boys don't cry. And it was just a good movie. Like, Affleck can do very little wrong when he puts his heart set on something. And Casey Affleck, Ben's brother, posted something last year. It was little Ben Affleck wearing a Batman t-shirt, and he expressed how big of a fan that Ben was of the Caped Crusader. And to see him put on the cape and cowl years later is a dream come true for him. And going back to what we said earlier, seeing him in Batman v Superman was just perfect for me. To me, that's my Batman. Yes, I loved Michael Keaton. Yes, I grew up to the Keaton movie, but I also read The Dark Knight Returns. I read those dark movies or those dark comics, and Ben Affleck brought that to life. And to see him return for this movie, the movie that he was meant to be in, not the Justice League, not the Whedon film, but Zack Snyder's film. I am super excited for this, to see, for nothing else. Yes, I want to see Superman in the black suit. Yes, I want to see little bits of Darkseid. Yes, I want to see the real Steppenwolf. But to see the Batfleck in his truest form, not what we saw in 2017, where, do you talk to fish? No, I don't want to see that. I want to see, do you bleed? That guy. Yeah. That's what I'm excited to see. And the trailer, the very first SnyderCut trailer with Hallelujah in the song.
Yeah.
At the very end, when the Flash is, talking about what I assume is Steppenwolf, saying, this guy has attacked and invaded hundreds of planets, and we assume that he's won them all. And Ben Affleck's quote, his line, chills. Even after the last night when I first saw it, saying, I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells, he's never fought us, not us united. I freaking got chills. I don't know what it is, but the way he delivered it made me believe that this guy is Batman. He's not Ben Affleck playing Batman. He's not Ben Affleck in a cosplay. He is Batman. And I cannot wait in 2 weeks.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to be watching. I mean, obviously I'm watching the Snyder Cut of Justice League, right? Obviously, that's a given. Hello, this is my job. But also, I will be watching very closely how Ben Affleck does in this cut. I am very excited. I am also excited to see more about Jared Leto's version of Joker, because from what I've seen in these trailers and these advert bumps, this is a totally different take than what we had gotten, which was very poor.
Yeah, I wanted to like Suicide Squad. I wanted to like Leto's version, but there was just certain things that was unnecessary. The tattoo across his forehead, the damage tattoo, 1,000% unnecessary. The grills across on his teeth, unnecessary. The only way I would have accepted the grills on his teeth was if they had a backstory behind it. And I heard this theory a while ago that the reason why he had these grills on was because Batman caught Joker during a fight. After Joker kills Robin, Batman caught Joker and just beat the holy hell out of Joker to the point where his teeth were coming out. If that's a true theory, if that actually happened, I want to see that on the big screen or in some form. Yeah. So I hope and I believe that Snyder acknowledged the disappointment that a lot of people had in Leto's version, and I think we're going to get a better version in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I will say also, I don't like Jared Leto as a person. I don't think he's interesting. I can't deny that he's talented. I can't deny that, he plays roles extremely well. He's a great actor. He's a very good musician. He knows that he's great, right? So he's got that ego about him, and everything that I hear about him in press, when he's going off, I don't like him. I saw a video where he was doing a 30 Seconds to Mars show, and everybody was up on their feet jumping. He was playing a song, and then he stops the song and he singles out one guy. And he's like, "Hey, how come you're not jumping? Like, you need to be on your feet. Come on, man. It's like, yo, the guy just wanted to sit down. Leave him alone.
I mean, yeah, I could sense a little bit of arrogance behind his breath in interviews, and I never watched any of his performances, but I'll take your word for it that he came off that way, because that's just, and his method acting too can be a little bit much. I don't know if you ever heard of any of the stories that he did in behind the scenes of Suicide Squad.
I heard some, and that's also another reason why I don't like him. But go ahead. Tell the story.
It was much. There was one where I think he was delivering dead rats to his co-stars. It was something like that.
Yeah.
He went a bit far in a lot of his method acting, and there are ways of going about it. Heath Ledger did the same thing too when he was prepping for The Dark Knight. He did some method acting too, but he didn't piss off any of his cast members. He scared the crap out of them, but he definitely didn't anger them the way that Leto did. So yeah, there's ways of going about being a good actor or being a good person in general. We'll just have to wait and see how he does it in this time. Yeah. Maybe he was maybe the poor reviews humbled him. I don't know. I didn't see much of his work after Suicide Squad. I don't know how I tried to watch The Little Things on an HBO Max. Mm-hmm. He was good in that too. I mean, when I saw that movie, I thought, okay, and then when I saw what he did in the trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm thinking he could be like that. He could be a little bit twisted, a little bit redeemable from Suicide Squad. So I'll give it another shot. I hope to see better.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, is there anything we need to know going into the Snyder Cut of Justice League?
I personally am trying not to get my hopes up. It's very difficult because it could be 4 hours of average. I do know it's going to be better than the Justice League that we got 4 years ago. I don't think you can deny that. Will it be? Well,
we're getting the original version of what it was supposed to be, right? So
we're getting what we're supposed to get. Yes,
and that's something that I think director's cuts of films. That's what the director's vision was, not necessarily what got sent to the silver screen, edited down for time, edited for marketing, or whatever the case might be, but considering we're in this COVID-19 pandemic era, we have direct to streaming. HBO Max needs content. They paid for this. There's never been a better time for someone to want to sit at home and watch 4 hours worth of a movie.
Right. And I think one of the things that could lead up to this is, and that's why I'm hoping that people get on the bandwagon and just appreciate this, is because if this is a success, and if fans, casual fans and the hardcore fans line up and say, this was a damn good flick, 4 hours of my time, worth it, it opens up the possibility of a Justice League trilogy. It opens up the possibility of a Batfleck TV series on HBO Max. It opens up a whole new possibility of the Snyderverse in a broader form. And
Okay.
Warner Brothers may not like it, but if this movie is a success, sky's the limit. Then we're getting a whole new era of DC movies. I'm kind of, really hoping this does well.
Okay. I mean, let's be real. Not for nothing, but Warner Brothers with their DC property, they have not had a very good track record in terms of, fan and critics alike actually liking the movies. I mean, Wonder Woman was great. Wonder Woman 84, just like Pedro Pascal says, it was good, but it can be better,
It could have been
literally
better, yeah.
says it in the movie. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
They just don't have a great track record. And, like you, I am cautiously optimistic. I think that's the name of the game for 2021,
Yeah, I think that is the theme. It's just, pray for the best, but expect the worst. But I don't want to say it's about this movie. I really do believe this is going to be a better version of what we got.
Yeah, I mean, Zack Snyder is a phenomenal filmmaker. He's got a great history. Folks, have a listen to our previous episode on our thoughts about Zack Snyder and, his work all the way from, the film 300 through Man of Steel, through Watchmen, all the way to, getting overridden on Justice League by Joss Whedon. So I feel good about it. Like he's a good filmmaker. He's got a visual aesthetic that he sticks to. I've enjoyed his films in the past. I like Man of Steel. I know it's not a great movie, but I like it. And sometimes, and it's also, that's got a lot to do with Henry Cavill as well, but I'm looking forward to it, man. This is going to be great. I can't wait to come back here and talk to you in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, and I know I said this in the re-upped episode that we did a couple months back, but and I'll say it again because this is how I feel. Zack Snyder is DC. I can't see another director doing a movie like this. I can't see a Michael Bay doing this. I can't see, obviously, Joss Whedon can't do it. The Russo brothers who did the Avengers movies, I can't see any of them do what Zack Snyder is going to do in 2 weeks. Say what you will about Batman v Superman. I thought it was great, and I'll stand by this. I said it when it came out in 2016, and I'll say it in 2021. It was better than Captain Marvel or Captain America Civil War. They came out within a few months of each other, a few weeks.
Wow.
They both had good guy versus good guy. It was Batman versus Superman. It was Iron Man versus Captain America. And I thought that Civil War was very underwhelming, and I thought Dawn of Justice was a much, much better film story-wise. So if Zack Snyder can do that in 4 hours with Justice League, should be a great movie. Should not be disappointed.
Okay. All right, so what if, because, what if universe, right? Quentin Tarantino directed it.
It would be a different kind of good. It would still be better than Joss Whedon, but it would be so much different.
It would be way bloodier, and we'd get to see Gal Gadot's feet.
Yeah, we would see that. I think we would see like Darkseid killing everybody in the beginning of the movie, and then just go into, this is how it happened, and then just go into a 4-hour flick of like Batman and Superman in their underwear after trying to kill someone. I forgot how John Travolta and Samuel Jackson did it, but just that whole
sitting
scene
down in the diner. I can see them sitting in a diner.
And that actually, do you remember that YouTube video that came out? Oh, God. It was a video of Batman and Superman sitting in a diner talking about how movies should have ended. I think that's what it was called. How movies should have ended or something like that.
Oh, man. You're going to have to send that one to me.
Yeah, I will. And it always ends with Batman and Superman, especially if it's a comic book movie. It ends with Batman and Superman sitting in a diner talking about it, and Batman always ending it with, because I'm Batman. And Superman always questions Batman. He's like, don't question, because I'm Batman. It was so stupid, but it was hilarious. I gotta send that link.
That sounds like a Funny or Die skit.
Yeah, it kind of is, yeah.
Amazing. Jay, why don't you take us out, man?
All right, guys. If you've gone this far listening to us, thank you so much. Again, we appreciate you. We thank you so much. Like us, subscribe to us, share with us. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram under the same handle, Gotham UPod. You can find us on just about every and all audio platforms, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, etc., etc., etc. We are under the umbrella of We Made This, where we are part of an umbrella of many, many great podcasts out there, including We Are Starfleet, hosted by Michael Slammer.
Booyah.
And I think that's all we got, right, Mike? What else you got?
That's it, man. Folks, if you are, obviously we're talking Batman here, but if you're interested in hearing about WandaVision, which the finale is tomorrow. So by the time you hear this, the finale will have already aired. But podcast 616 is covering WandaVision and all of the future Marvel television shows premiering on Disney. So join your hosts over there. Actually, not for nothing, but I was very confused for quite a number of episodes on WandaVision, and they really helped explain things in a great way because they're hosted by some really good quality, knowledgeable dudes.
Got to push through that. Yeah, it was a very confusing series, but yeah.
Yeah, worth it though.
The payoff's worth it. Yeah, I would say the payoff is worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Jay, thank you. Talking SnyderCut, talking the Batman for 2022, and going through all the different realm of the film verse Batmans has been really interesting.
Yes.
I love this, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. And remember, we also, and we're not going to get into it now because we are wrapping up, but remember, there is a Flash movie coming out with multiple Batmen.
Oh, yeah. Put that on the list, sir. We're going to be talking about that.
Yes, sir. And, next time we're here, we're going to be talking the SnyderCut.
Booyah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We will chat with you next time.
Stay tuned for more on the We Made This network.
Elsewhere on We Made This. Right in the childhood.
At the moment, number 1 is Gummy Bears. Number 2 is Robin of Sherwood. Number 3 is Dark Season. And number 4 is The Tripods. Where are we putting Cyber City?
This is going straight to the top, popping right to the top.
Oh.
I was all about this, yeah.
My goodness.
I was digging this. I feel like my top 5 for your stuff has been like everything's getting better and better. But yeah, I was digging it.
We dig music.
She always makes me think of my mum, though, because my mum's middle name is Avril.
Right, okay. I thought you meant because your mum was a skater boy?
Because she was a skater boy, yeah.
or your dad was.
Actually, my dad was. My dad, in his youth, used to play roller hockey.
I don't think that's quite the same as being a skateboarder.
He was a skater boy. He had
Fair
roller
enough.
boots.
Don't diss roller boots.
Roller boots are f***ing rubbish. I fucking tripped over a roller skate earlier, so roller skates can
Roller boots are coming back in a big way, man. I've seen loads of people doing skating.
That is true, actually. You've seen.
I always wanted some and I never got a pair.
You could get some now.
Yeah.
Could have had some for your 50th birthday. That wouldn't have been a midlife crisis, would it?
I'll probably kill myself by I'm 51.
Yeah, don't do that. We've got a load more episodes planned.
We are Starfleet.
They want to share their joy, their feelings, whether it's happiness or disappointment. And I understand, but Thursday afternoon, taking a screen grab of the final act and like the big reveal and just like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then hashtagging like Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Voyager. It's like, come on, man, you're spoiling it.
Yeah. I hate spoilers myself. I do. Whenever there's something I'm looking forward to, I do try to stay off of any and all social media if I can.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.